and it is being given by the formula. Can anyone let me know what will be the formula for Bayes theorem? How do I write the formula for a Bayes theorem? So C is some event. There are two events, that is X and Y. Fine. Or now, rather than calling it in terms of X and Y, I'll go in a different manner now. Okay. So there is one thing that we have to calculate in the Bayes theorem, that is basically called as posterior. Fine, class.
Yes, ma'am.
So we have to go for the calculation of posterior probability by calculating certain parameters given in the question or given in the data set. Fine. So the main functionality for Bayes theorem or the naive Bayes is that you have to calculate the posterior probability. Now over here, just understand your C and X represent something related to your data set. That is, C is basically a class for which now we are actually working with data science only. Okay, so C is basically a class, and I'll tell you what we mean by class. And X is basically the predictor. So C is class and X is predictor. ठीक है? क्लास नहीं बोलती तो मैं इसको एक और नाम दे देती हूँ, टारगेट. Another name can be a label. Fine. So now PC slash X is nothing but the posterior probability of class, that is target, given than that the predictor is being given. और predictor को एक और नाम दे देते हैं attributes. Attributes या फिर कह देते हैं जो हम नॉर्मली यूज करते हैं, दे आर बेसिकली कॉल्ड एज फीचर्स. क्लियर है क्लास? सी और एक्स के बारे में क्या कहा जाता है?
Yes, ma'am.
Fine. So now P, C slash X in terms of data science, C represents the class or the target or the label. X represents the predictor, attributes or the features. So we have to calculate the posterior probability of class when predictor is given. Okay. Now what is your P of C? P of C is the prior probability of your class. जो ऑलरेडी डेटा सेट में गिवन होगा वो क्लास कितनी बार एग्जिस्टेंस में है, वो प्रायर प्रोबेबिलिटी इज बीइंग गिवन बाय P of C. So this is basically prior of class. What is P of X? It is the prior probability of the predictor. So now this is nothing but the prior of feature or attribute, or I'll call it as a predictor. And now this thing, which is basically Px slash C, is nothing but the likelihood. So it is called as a likelihood of probability of predictor provided class is given. Fine. So basically what we are saying, we are simply saying that we have to calculate according to the Bayes theorem, that is nothing but the conditional probability, where we define two types of instances. First one is the class, which is basically the target or the output. And there are certain set of predictors. Predictors are nothing but the features or the inputs. So we have to calculate the posterior probability of the event, that is the class, given that the attributes are given, the probability of the attributes are given. So over here we have to calculate this. ठीक है? इसका मतलब क्या हुआ? If I'll write something like this, I have a data set जिसमें कुछ मेल्स और फीमेल्स हैं and they are simply saying कि उनका लोन प्रिडिक्शन है या नहीं है. So if I'll write something like, अब just understand, males and females are the attributes. Loan है या नहीं है, yes or no is the class. So if I'll write something as male slash yes, इसका मतलब क्या हुआ? दैट आई एम जस्ट कैलकुलेटिंग द प्रोबेबिलिटी, द पोस्टीरियर प्रोबेबिलिटी that the person is male provided the person is male provided it belongs to class. Yes. If I'll write something like this, then it is being called as the posterior probability of that the person is female provided that the class belongs to no. Getting my point, class? Clear है यहां तक? Yes, first years. Is it clear to everyone?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. So this is being given by the bias theorem. Now, what is naive bias? Naive bias is nothing but bias only. But it works well, or it is very easy, or it defines the frame out to be very easy by stating only one thing into the system. Formula, calculation, everything will remain same. सिर्फ एक ही चीज को वो consider करके चलता है. That is naive bias. It uses an assumption that all attributes are independent. That means they are not dependent on each other. So if I'll say male and female, so I'll say male is not dependent on female. So if I'll say age, so age is not has nothing to do with the male or the female. So we'll treat that the whole of the data set is independent by nature, जो कि ideally possible नहीं है. Some of the data will be, or some of the attribute will surely be dependent. For example, can I say age is related to gender?
No, ma'am.
Age is not related to gender. Hanji class, is age related to gender or not? First years, please answer, beta.
No, ma'am.
Why is age is not related to gender? Why age is not related to gender? कार की एज होती है क्या? कार की एज होती है? If I'll say that 60-year-old woman is prone to obesity, it defines something. जैसे बोला जाता है आफ्टर 30 years और 35 years of age of a woman bones are shedding down their strength. बोला जाता है नहीं बोला जाता?
Yes,
Yes.
ma'am.
Yes, ma'am.
So can I say that age is related to gender? Age defines gender. It doesn't make any difference for male or female. It is related to gender or not. Definitely, I'll not say that 24 years of male or 25 years of a female will give you a very good possible information, but definitely they are related. Fine. So if there are higher ranges of age, there will be higher ranges of male and female. So gender is related to age. So over here, I'll simply say no, gender and age are not related. So in naive bias, I will not treat that they both are correlated. I will not count it as a correlation. I will not count it as they are independent. Sorry, dependent on each other. They are independent of each other. So for naive bias, we have to go with the assumption that every attribute is independent by nature. Clear है? Clear हुआ class? So
Yes,
if
ma'am.
we are
Yes.
going with this thing and we know कि we want our data set to be independent by nature, अगर वो independent नहीं है और dependency आती है, then there is a problem. So undoubtedly what we want the whole of the data set should be independent by nature. So we are assuming it, and जब हम assume करते हैं इसका मतलब हम उसके ऊपर selectivities भी नहीं लगा रहे हैं. मतलब हम ये भी नहीं चेक कर रहे हैं कि correlation है या नहीं है, हम ये भी चेक नहीं कर रहे हैं कुछ डेटा लॉस है या नहीं है, हम उसमें कुछ भी चेक नहीं कर रहे हैं. दैट मीन्स नाउ इट इज द इजीएस्ट वन. कुछ भी नहीं करना, कोई क्लीनिंग नहीं कर रहा, कुछ नहीं कर रहा, और अगर क्लीनिंग करी भी है टू सम एक्सटेंट, हमने सिर्फ और सिर्फ नल वैल्यूज हटा दी हैं, हमने डुप्लीकेट्स हटा दिए, दैट्स इट. एल्स हमारी तरफ से अजम्पशन क्या है? दे आर नॉट कोरिलेटेड बिकॉज दे आर इंडिपेंडेंट. So if they are not correlated, they are independent. So it's very easy to implement and often works well. And this is the first thing that we have to try for any model. Whenever जब तुम लोग थोड़े से और एडवांस हो जाओगे डेटा साइंस को लेकर के, तो how you have to proceed for your model selection, it will be like you have to go for first bias, then naive bias, then linear regression, then logistic regression, then SVM, then decision tree, then random forest. Now this is the platform that you have to follow. So first thing is to implement this, because it's the easiest one to work on. And now it is basically called as another, by another name, called as a punching bag for smarter algorithm. Why? Because this will give you the better output. Undoubtedly, this will give you a better accuracy. So it is a punching bag because we are considering that everything is independent. That's the only thing. इसलिए मैंने सबसे पहले conclusion दिखाया, because after that I'm just moving with the numerical. यहाँ तक किसी को कोई doubt है तो पूछ लो. Anyone is having any doubt? Shall I proceed? First
Yes,
year
ma'am.
please reply किया करो. मेरे लिए बहुत मुश्किल हो जाता है. So where we would like to implement our naive bias is basically spam classification, where we'll simply say spam is there or spam is not there. Now I'll definitely, after this slide, I'll talk about what is classes, what is features. Medical diagnostic, that means if there are symptoms, you have to just predict whether the person is suffering from some sort of disease or not, that particular disease or not. Whether आज का जो weather है, according to the temperature, humidity, will it rain or not? So if just understand the term I am using every now then. Spam, is it a spam or not? Medical diagnosis. It is, if the other symptom is there, if that particular that patient is suffering from that particular disease or not. Whether the temperature and humidity and other parameters are defined, then it will predict whether there is rain or not. Fine. So I have something called as yes or no, true or false. So class, they define a class. Fine. This is something called as target also, or label also. So this is basically called as your yes or no. मतलब अब तुम्हारे को बोला जाए कि mm, every now then I used to ask, okay class, getting my point, you people simply say yes or no. Fine. So that now this is only having only two types of classes. That is, either it will happen or it will not happen. So prediction केस के लिए हम लोग क्या बोलते हैं, कल बारिश होगी, कल बारिश नहीं होगी. So it is like either the event will occur or it will not occur. So for that particular thing, we define it to be a class. Now just understand, we have two different types of data set. Categorical and continuous. Continuous is basically in the numerical form. ठीक है? Like categorical, it is like defining a category. जैसे true or false. This is there, this is not there, this is there, this is not there. Fine. Then it is coming out to be a categorical data. Normally, we tend to work on numerical data, which is comparatively easy. Categorical data is slightly bit tedious because we have to process it out in a very large manner. Fine. So class, the relationship between attribute set and the class variable is non-deterministic. इसका मतलब अगर कोई मेल है और उसकी एज इज 22 एंड वो जॉब में है, so it is not defining whether he or whether that person is diabetic or not. So the attributes are non-deterministic for class variable. These are not defining that अगर कोई भी मेल 22 साल का है और वो जॉब कर रहा है तो वो डायबिटिक है. Getting my point? So this is something, this is the relationship that we have to maintain, that they are non-deterministic. इसका मतलब क्या हुआ? No features. अगर मैं खाली मेल उठा लूं as a feature, I can say using the analysis that every male is diabetic in nature. Or if the person is doing a job, it is diabetic in nature. He or she is diabetic in nature. I can't say that. So it is non-deterministic. We have to do the proper attribute analysis. Even if the attributes are same, the class label may differ in training set, even and hence cannot be predicted with certainty. For example, I have a data set, male hai, एज इज दिस, जॉब है, डायबिटिक, यस. I have another data point, again the same data points, but diabetic is no. So ये जरूरी नहीं है कि अगर सेम एट्रीब्यूट्स की सेम वैल्यूज हैं तो टारगेट या जो क्लास आएगा वो सेम ही आएगा. इट विल डिफर, इट कैन डिफर, इट कैन बी सेम, इट कैन बी डिफर डिफरेंट. तो अनसर्टेनिटी रहेगी, सर्टेनिटी नहीं रहेगी प्रिडिक्शन में. इट कैन बी यस, इट कैन बी नो. गेटिंग माई पॉइंट क्लास?
Yes, ma'am.
Fine. Lastly, why the this uncertainty is there? Because the data is noisy. Because now we are simply saying everything is independent, despite the fact it is not. It is not independent. Everything is not independent. I am getting two rows that are having the same values of attributes. सो माई डेटा इज नॉइसी नाउ. अगर मैं इन दोनों में से किसी एक को लेके चलती तो शायद मेरी प्रिडिक्शन थोड़ी बहुत कम या गलत होती, लेकिन मेरा एक्यूरेसी, मॉडल की एक्यूरेसी हाई होती. लेकिन अब मैं दोनों के लेके चल रही हूँ तो नाउ आई हैव अ प्रॉब्लम. इफ आई गेट अनदर डेटा पॉइंट, कोई टेस्टिंग डेटा पॉइंट आया सेम वैल्यू के साथ, क्या बोलूं अब इसको, डायबिटीज होगा या नहीं होगा? कैन आई से एनीथिंग अबाउट दिस थिंग अगेन? अब अगर एक और डेटा पॉइंट आ गया, किसी का भी टेस्टिंग आ गया, फॉर एग्जाम्पल मेरी फ्रेंड का, मेरा और मेरी फ्रेंड का सेम एज ब्रैकेट है, हम दोनों जॉब में हैं, और हम दोनों में से एक को डायबिटीज और एक को नहीं है. तीसरी एक और फ्रेंड आ जाती है, सो वो भी एक ही एज ग्रुप की है, वो भी जॉब में है. नाउ हाउ डू वी से कि उसको डायबिटीज होगा या नहीं होगा? कैन एनीवन लेट मी नो कि हाँ उसको होगा, हाँ नहीं होगा?
हम
कोई
probability है.
हाँ जी.
There's a probability. Half, ma'am.
Exactly, half है. So we can't predict. So it is basically uncertain. So if attributes are same or attribute values are same and class labels are different, so undoubtedly uncertainty is there. We can't predict 100%. ना हम yes के लिए 100% बोल सकते हैं या 50 to 100% के बीच में बोल सकते हैं, ना हम no के लिए बोल सकते हैं. तो uncertainty is there just because the noisy of the data. So for this thing we have to go for the probabilistic relationship between the attribute set with the class variable. Here comes the picture of bias. So क्या करना पड़ेगा, क्योंकि अब येस और नो की तो आधी आधी प्रोबेबिलिटी में ही हमने काम कर दिया, लेकिन हम रिजल्टेंट पे तो पहुंचे नहीं है, तो हमें क्या काम करना पड़ेगा? हर अप्रोच शुड बी प्रोबेबिलिस्टिक बाय नेचर. सो हम बायजन थ्योरम पे काम करते हैं, सो वी नो दैट. सो क्लास आज के बाद I will not call anything to be as input and output. I'll simply say I have features and label. Features are x1, x2, x3. It can features are male भी नहीं लेते हैं, gender, age, job, uh, glucose level. These are my features. ठीक है? And label is nothing but diabetes. Yes or no. Fine. So now I have features and I have labels. I hope सबको समझ में आ गया what we mean by features and what we mean by label. Clear है class?
Sure.
Okay. Uh, just understand and then I'm just switching to the numerical. Uh, Another application to define by looking at this image. Can you simply classify what exactly the digit is representing? It is 5. So what we did, we actually give the information of this image to some classifier, and the classifier has to predict what the image is actually showing. So वो information क्या दे रहा है? वो information दे रहा है these values. ये जो रेड कलर की वैल्यूज आ रही हैं, इनकी वैल्यूज वो क्लासिफायर को भेजेगा. सो ऑटोमेटिकली क्लासिफायर जब इसे इम्प्रिंट करेगा और आइडेंटिफाई करेगा कहाँ कहाँ पर मुझे वैल्यूज मिल रही हैं, इट विल बी closer to 5. So it will give you an output as 5. So now these information where the colors are red and where the colors are blue are basically called for the features. Fine. And since this particular image lies between, because it is having a proper tail and then it is like this, so it can be either 5 or it can be either 6. This has to be classified by the classifier. So now the predictor is whether it is 5 or it is 6, or I can simply say it is 5, yes, it is not 5, no. So now the classifier has to predict yes, or no in terms of label. So X is basically features and Y is basically the labels. Clear hai class? So this was the actual formula that we have to calculate. Now let's go with this. चलो पहला ये example करते हैं. The question
Ma'am,
says,
was out.
हाँ जी बेटा.
Label was output.
हाँ, label is by output. It's like this. Uh, Yesterday I had given you some questions. Did you all perform all those questions? Kindly answer just yes or no. Now the feature is the problems that I had given. And output
Yes,
is
ma'am.
or the label is kindly answer yes or no. Fine?
Yes, ma'am.
Fine. So class, now there is a question. Kindly read it first, understand and then perform. It says, a doctor knows that the cold causes fever 50% of the time. Prior probability of any patient having cold is 1 by 5,000, 50,000. Prior probability of any patient having fever is 1 by 20. So I have P of cold and I have P of fever. ठीक है. एंड यहाँ पे क्या बोलता है? कोल्ड कॉजेस फीवर. दैट मीन्स कोल्ड कॉजेस फीवर की प्रोबेबिलिटी इज fine. Now it
Yes.
says
Yes,
that
ma'am.
if a patient has fever, what is the probability he or she has cold? Can we calculate?
Yes, ma'am.
Hmm.
Yes, ma'am.
Oh, sorry. ये वाला factor ये होगा. So class, this will be the probability of fever having cold. ठीक है. So 50 upon 100 is P of fever having cold. So you have to calculate what? You have to calculate reverse of it, that cold होते fever होते हुए cold है. You have to calculate this. तो क्या किया हमने? सिर्फ फॉर्मूले में सब्स्टिट्यूट किया. ठीक है. Is the answer coming out to be the same one?
No, ma'am.
क्यों?
Ma'am,
कोल्ड
क्या?
का आंसर सेम आ रहा है या नहीं आ रहा है जो शो हो रहा है?
Yes, ma'am. Same है.
फाइन.
हमारा.
हाँ बेटा, आपको कैलकुलेट करना था. So this is what exactly the bias
हाँ
do.
मैम यही आ रहा है.
Fine. So after this, so class, now it is like we can have multiple posterior probability. So I have A1, A2 till AN as number of features, C as the class, then I can re-represent my formula or bias classification into the same format, but now it is being written in a different manner. So now P class, when A1, A2, A3, A4 इन सबकी probability given है, is equal to P A1, A2, A3, A4 slash class की probability given है, given P of class is given and P of individual or all the probabilities of the features are given. Fine. This is what exactly when we have multiple features. So जब हम कंप्यूटर पे I mean जब हम एल्गोरिथम बनाएंगे ना, तो एल्गोरिथम ऐसे कैलकुलेट करता है. हम कैसे कैलकुलेट करेंगे? हम इंडिविजुअल कॉलम्स को एक एक करके कैलकुलेट करेंगे. ये कैसे कैलकुलेट करता है? ये एक ही बारी में सबको इकट्ठा कैलकुलेट करता है. सो दिस इज एक्चुअली द अप्रोच. You have to go for this approach for the algorithm designing, but when we are calculating, then we have a very small data set, so we have to work on it. So I want you people to kindly लिख लोगे ये? Can you people simply draw this table in your copies? written class? क्लास टेबल बन गया है सबका?
Ma'am, just a second.
Hmm. Okay, I'll just give you 1 more minute. Kindly draw the table. I mean, have this table in your copies. We'll solve this with using Naive Bayes theorem today. Okay, shall I start class?
Yes, ma'am.
So, class, this is a data set for a bank where there are 4 features and 1 class. So, what are the features? First one is the transaction ID, that is X1. This is your transaction ID. Then, second feature is your refund, that is X2. Third feature is marital status, that is X3. Fourth feature is your taxable income. And is this your evade? Evade is nothing but your target or class. So I have 4 features x1, x2, x3 and x4. I have 1 class output as class, and in class I have 2 values, that is no and yes. सबको दिख रहा है? So how do we read the data set? So it simply says everything is written in column and rows. So if I'll say, okay, let's talk about transaction ID 6. Is transaction ID 6 getting the loan or not? So it is, the answer is no. So what are the parameters that are defining that transaction ID 6 is not getting the loan? Her taxable, first of all, she hasn't gone for the previous refund. She is married and her income, taxable income is 60,000. So now these are the parameters that I defined. So now if I have another data set, that data point, that is the testing, बाहर से, ये तो मैंने अभी models create करने के लिए use किया है. Now if I want to identify, if I want to predict whether फलाना रिफंड हैज बीन देयर, मैरिटल स्टेटस क्या है एंड टैक्सेबल इनकम है, तो मुझे उसके लिए प्रिडिक्ट करना है कि उसको, वो कौन सी क्लास को बिलोंग करता है, कि उसे लोन सैंक्शन होगा या नहीं होगा. सो इफ आई से इट्स अ नो, it is single and it is 75K. So class, who will tell me? Will the answer be yes or no? Will the answer be yes or no? What exactly we will do? First of all, we'll identify no, 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 no के cases पे क्या क्या है. जब no था refund, तो class was no. Again, no था refund, class was no. No refund, class is yes. There is one. No पर no, again yes. नहीं देखना. No पर again there is a yes. Again +1. No पर again it has to be no. Then no पर again it is yes. So I have 3 positives for the class no refund के लिए, and for no refund I have rest other to be called as no. Then I have to check it out how many single marital status जिनका single है उनके लिए evade class क्या है. आपका जो कंप्यूटर है वो इस तरीके से क्वालिफाई करेगा, आपका एल्गोरिथम इस तरह से वर्कआउट करेगा. सिमिलरली इट विल आइडेंटिफाई 75,000 जिसका टैक्सेबल इनकम था, क्या उसका क्लास यस में फॉल कर रहा था या नो में फॉल कर रहा था. सो दिस इज हाउ वी मैनुअली चेक. But क्योंकि data set is in millions and trillions or lakhs, so it is not very easy. So we have to create the algorithm. So how we have to go about it using the naive Bayes? So first of all, now this is my training data. And what is my test data? That I'll call another thing, that is 11th point, that says that refund has been given, marital status is married, income is 120k, and you have to identify this. So class, now this is what we call as prediction. So I have 10 data point as training and one data point as testing. Clear hua class? First years, please do answer. Till this point, it is
Yes,
clear to
ma'am.
everyone. Okay, now let's proceed. First of all, we have to calculate the prior information. What are the probability for prior when the class is yes, and what is the probability when the class is no? Who will tell me? Just count the number of yes and no. Okay, before that, one more thing. Class refund is being defined as categorical. It is category. Yes, no, yes, no. Marital status again is a categorical. It is having three values: single, married, and divorced. Lekin taxable income is continuous because it is in a numerical form. Is it okay, class? तो categorical data और continuous data clear हो गया कैसा होता है? Am I clear, class?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, ma'am.
Fine. So now what we have to go for, we have to calculate the probability, prior probability that the class belongs to yes or class belongs to no. Who will tell me what will be the probability for class that is yes and for class that is no? फटाफट calculate करके बता दो मुझे. So number of samples are 10. Count the number of no's or yes first. So let's see, yes is 1, this is 1. Then this is 2 and this is 3. So I can simply say that it is nothing but 3 by 10 for yes. Remaining will be 1 minus p class of yes, or I can simply calculate it by counting. So it is coming out to be 7 by 10. Clear to everyone?
Yes, ma'am.
Fine. Till this point it is clear. So now after this, for discrete attributes. So for discrete attributes का मतलब क्या होता है? When the values are 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Fine. For that particular thing, we have to calculate the probability like this. That is P A I. I subscript का मतलब क्या होता है? I की value starts from 1 to n. That is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So it will be an integer type, not the floating type. Similarly, K also represent the same thing. So AIK is the number of instances having attribute AI and belonging to class CK. That means if I want to calculate, I'll simply say uh, marital status is married with class yes. So now the value will be coming out to be, you just have to count or the total number of instances where the person is married but belongs to class yes. So how many are there? Married no, married no, married no, married no. So there is no person who is married and belongs to class yes. So क्या हो जाएगा output? 0?
0. Yes, ma'am.
Fine. So similarly, if I want to go for a person जिसका refund is no and belongs to class yes. So what will be the probability now? So it is no and it belongs to class yes. So first one is this, because the refund is no and class is yes. Next is
By 10.
again it is basically coming out to be 3 by
3 by 10.
3 by 10. Why 10?
Because total are 10.
10 was
No,
B.
total is 10 for the case of yes plus no. But क्या बोला जा रहा है? Belongs to class. So yes कितने हैं? 3 and no कितने हुए? 7.
7.
Fine. So क्या हो जाएगा? Can I say
7
that?
plus
Fine. Can I say that 3 by 3 is equal to 1 because yes की probability class is yes, class yes कितनी है सिर्फ 3 और no होते हुए class yes कितनी है सिर्फ 3, तो 3 by 3 will be equal to 1. Is it clear to everyone? हाँ जी क्लास, किसी को डाउट है अभी पूछ लो. Shall I proceed further?
Ma'am,
Yes,
in
ma'am.
married, I'm that married and it's yes, ma'am. I guess it's one, ma'am, क्योंकि fourth वाले में married भी है और refund yes भी है.
बेटा रिफंड की बात नहीं थी ना, क्लास की बात थी. क्लास इज दिस, वी आर कंपेयरिंग इट विद आउटपुट, वी आर कैलकुलेटिंग विद आउटपुट, वी आर नॉट टॉकिंग अबाउट रिफंड. हम फीचर के साथ नहीं मैच कर रहे हैं. सो बेसिकली दिस इज योर फीचर एंड दिस इज योर टारगेट. वी आर गोइंग विद फीचर एंड टारगेट, नॉट विद द फीचर विद फीचर. ओके
Okay, ma'am.
फाइन. ओके एनी
मैम
कैश?
सेकंड वाले में डिनोमिनेटर में 3 क्यों आया?
ओके लेट्स call it. So I have class as no, sorry, this is not the right thing. I'll write it to be रिफंड. मुझसे एक क्वेश्चन किसने पूछा था कि मैम ये नीचे वाले में 3 क्यों आया है?
सुरभि.
सुरभि बेटा आंसर तू करेगी अब. सो
ओके मैम.
रीड इट. प्रोबेबिलिटी फॉर रिफंड इज इक्वल टू नो गिवन दैट द क्लास इज यस. यही बोला जाएगा, ऐसे ही रीड करते हैं हम
यस
इसे.
मैम. यस
नाउ
मैम.
नाउ चेक इन योर डेटा. पहले चेक कर क्लास में यस कहाँ कहाँ आ रहा है. लेट मी डिलीट ऑल. हाँ अब बता क्लास में यस कहाँ कहाँ आ रहा है.
3
कौन कौन
जगह.
से? हाँ वो ट्रांजेक्शन आईडी बोल. 5,
5
8.
एंड 10.
अब रिफंड चेक कर कौन कौन से केस में नो है.
इन्हीं 3
कौन?
में.
तीनों में नो है.
हाँ.
सो 3, तो पहली प्रोबेबिलिटी क्या हो जाती है कि 3 आर दी नंबर ऑफ नोज दैट बिलोंग टू क्लास यस. फाइन.
हाँ.
Now the thing is, because it is in discrete in the sense it is only giving you the categorical variables. So categorical के लिए हम लोग क्या निकालते हैं? Total number of the positive cases divided by the total number of the cases belonging to that particular class. So यहाँ पर yes class कितनी है?
3.
So total data set was having 10 samples, जिसमें से yes के लिए 3 था और no के लिए 7 था. तो
7
फाइनली
था.
कितना हो जाएगा? टोटल नंबर ऑफ पॉजिटिव केसेस आर 3, टोटल नंबर ऑफ यस क्लासेस आर आल्सो 3. तो फाइनल आंसर विल बी
3 by 3.
फाइन. अब इसको रिवर्स करते हैं. ओके सुरभि फिर से. इफ आई से माय क्लास रिफंड इज यस एंड क्लास इज आल्सो यस, सो अब बता क्या आएगा उस आउटपुट.
मैम 0.
वाई 0?
मैम बिकॉज जब रिफंड में यस है तो मतलब जो क्लास है उसमें यस नहीं है.
नहीं उसमें क्लास इज नो, क्लास बिलोंग्स टू नो, दैट्स द ओनली रीजन. गेटिंग माय पॉइंट? समझ में आ गया?
हाँ.
फाइन. शैल वी प्रोसीड क्लास? डाउट के क्वेश्चन खत्म होगा. सो नाउ अभी किसी को इस टेबल में कोई और प्रॉब्लम है कि मैम ये कैसे निकलेगा प्रोबेबिलिटी? एनी अदर प्रॉब्लम? अभी हमने टैक्सेबल इनकम के लिए बात नहीं करी, अभी हमने सिर्फ और सिर्फ कैटेगोरिकल डेटा की बात करी है जहां रिफंड और मैरिटल स्टेटस के साथ हमने क्लास डिफाइन करी है. इट्स क्लियर टू एवरीवन टिल दिस पॉइंट? फाइन, आई विल प्रोसीड. सो ये मैं बाद में बताऊंगी डिस्क्रिटाइजेशन को लेकर के. नाउ लेट्स गो फॉर द टैक्सेबल इनकम which is basically a continuous data. It is a continuous data because it is in a numerical format. तो जब भी हमें numerical format मिलता है बेटा, so what we have to go for, we have to calculate the probability by using the normal distribution. Fine. So again, AI and CJ remains the same. The meaning of AI and CJ remains the same, but the formula changes over the case of refund and the marital status because they were the categorical data points. वहां पर हमने number of the positive instances divided by the number of the class हम लोगों ने calculate कर लिया. But over here, because the taxable income is varied, so we have to go for the normal distribution. Now, what is the formula for the normal distribution to calculate the probability? So probability of a normal distribution is given by 1 by 2 under root 2 pi sigma square exponential minus of ai minus mu upon में twice of sigma square whole square. So class sigma is nothing but your standard deviation और variance की बात कर लेते हैं, and mu is nothing but the mean of the data point. So what you people have to go for, you have to calculate the mean of this particular table first. ठीक है, इसका मीन निकालेंगे, लेकिन अब हम मीन कैसे निकालेंगे? जस्ट सी इट सेज 1 for each AICI pair. That means you have to go for class yes and for class no separately for the normal distribution. ठीक है, so if I'll go for class no, I'll just count the number of no, 7 points are there. I'll take those no's, इनका टेबल अलग बनाऊंगी, इनका मीन निकालूंगी. सिमिलरली देयर आर 3 yes, उनका अलग मीन निकालूंगी, फिर उन दोनों की प्रोबेबिलिटी अलग निकलेगी. सो ओवर हेयर इफ द क्लास वाज नो, तो सैंपल मीन वाज कमिंग आउट टू बी 110 and the sample variance is coming out to be this. We know ना variance कैसे निकालते हैं, we'll calculate, don't worry about it. अभी सिर्फ और सिर्फ समझ लो, ठीक है. So we calculated for no as the mean coming out to be 110 and sample variance is coming out to be 2975. Now the question says P of income is equal to 120k. अब देख लो, P of income with 120k is there when it belongs to class no. It belongs to class no. So now we calculate the probability by using the normal distribution and we are getting the output like this. Clear हुआ class? Is it clear to everyone? अभी हम सिर्फ और सिर्फ इंडिविजुअल कॉलम की प्रोबेबिलिटी निकाल रहे हैं. हमने रिफंड की प्रोबेबिलिटी निकाली है, हमने मैरिटल स्टेटस के साथ प्रोबेबिलिटी निकाली है, येस और नो की, और अब हम टैक्सेबल इनकम के साथ निकाल रहे हैं. यहां तक क्लियर है क्लास? प्लीज कंफर्म मी.
Yes, ma'am.
Fine.
Yes,
So
ma'am.
similarly, if I'll say I want to calculate P of income 75k, provided it belongs to class no, then it will be equal to what? So it will be equal to 1 by under root of 2, because it was, this is sample variance, we have to have standard deviation. So it will be coming out to be 54.54 exponential minus. Now the value is 75. So now it will be 75k minus the mean, that is equal to 110 ka square divided by twice of variance, that is equal to 2975, and we'll get some positive value, definitely very small. So हमें यहाँ पर वो value मिल जाएगी. So this is how we calculate for the categorical data, continuous data. So we have to define it, whether we are going for the continuous data or we are going for the categorical data. Last thing that I am writing, we are not going further ahead. So because time है जाएगा. So finally when I have to calculate the naive bias, so the question says, आपके पास अब एक टेस्ट रिकॉर्ड आया, you have a test record x defines the feature which simply says that the refund is having a value of no, the person is married, and that person's income is 120k. You have to define in which class it belongs, to yes or to no. We have to calculate this. So what we'll do, because refund is categorical, तो हम पहले इसकी probability अलग से निकालेंगे, multiplied by marital status, again it is categorical, we'll calculate its probability, multiplied by income, which is a continuous data. So we'll calculate is normal probability, and then finally multiplying all these three probabilities, we'll get to know some positive quantity, we'll compare it, and then we'll get to know whether it belongs to class yes or it belongs to class no. Clear हुआ class? हम ये निकालेंगे, ये आई होप आई टॉक टू मोनिका मैम कि ट्यूसडे को आई टेक योर क्लास और ऑन मंडे आई टेक योर क्लास. सो तुम्हें क्लियर हो जाएगा. टिल दिस पॉइंट इट इज क्लियर व्हाट एग्जैक्टली वी हैव टू कैलकुलेट. अब नेव बायस कैसे लगेगा? सो इट इज बेसिकली व्हाट वी आर कैलकुलेटिंग, वी आर सिंपली सेइंग हमें ये निकालना है, सॉरी हमें ये निकालना है, क्लास प्रिडिक्ट करानी है. सो व्हाट वी हैव टू गो फॉर, वी आर मल्टीप्लाइंग ऑल द इंडिविजुअल प्रोबेबिलिटीज जो हमें गिवन है. सो नाउ द मल्टीपल फीचर्स आर देयर. सो इट इज बेसिकली p of x is nothing but x1, x2, x3 and so on slash the class, and we have to calculate the probability. Clear हुआ class?
Yes, ma'am.
Fine. So please class यहाँ तक करके आना. I want you people. सबने टेबल बना लिया है, सबने फॉर्मूला नोट कर लिया है कंटिन्यूस वाला. प्लीज राइट डाउन द फॉर्मूला फॉर कैलकुलेटिंग द नॉर्मल प्रोबेबिलिटी डिस्ट्रीब्यूशन. क्लास नो की. हाँ बेटा.
मैम 1 जो लिखा है वो नंबर वाला 1 है.
हाँ हाँ हाँ, इट इज 1 डिवाइडेड बाय 2 पाई सिग्मा स्क्वायर. फाइन. मल्टीप्लाइड बाय एक्सपोनेंशियल, इट इज माइनस एक्सपोनेंशियल ए आई माइनस म्यू आई, इसका स्क्वायर डिवाइडेड बाय 2 सिग्मा का स्क्वायर. फाइन. ये है वैल्यू. ठीक है. सो क्लास.
मैम वो आईजे लिखा है क्या?
हाँ बेटा आई जे है.
म्यू
यू नीड
आईजे.
नॉट. हाँ हाँ, इट इज आई जे. यू नीड नॉट रिक्वायर टू राइट आई जे. कोई प्रॉब्लम नहीं है. आई जे ओनली सिंपली सेज दैट आई इज द फीचर नंबर एंड जे इज द क्लास. दैट्स इट. ठीक है. जे इज द क्लास. जे की क्लास क्या है? 0 और 1 है. दैट इज इधर यस है या फिर नो है. और आई ए आई का मतलब क्या है? आई मूव्स फ्रॉम 1 2 3 4 5. तो फीचर नंबर आर 1 2 3 बिकॉज वी हैव 1 2 3 एंड 4 फीचर्स बस. सो इसीलिए
मैम वॉइस लैग हो रही है.
am I audible now?
Yes, ma'am.
Fine. So the formula is this. What I want from you people to kindly come prepared for class. Yes, इसकी नॉर्मल प्रोबेबिलिटी निकाल के लाओगे. मीन और वेरिएंस तुम्हारे पास होना चाहिए. बस ये निकाल के लाना. ठीक है. विल वर्क इन क्लास इटसेल्फ. Is it clear, class?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. So let me take your attendance now.